G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra is based off the new motion picture, which in turn is based off of the classic 80s cartoon show that we all grew up loving. The only difference is that the movie, and therefore the game, decided, why don't we just piss all over everything that you loved about the cartoon show and just strip all of the personality right out of it so that it just becomes another dumb Hollywood action movie. If you've seen the trailers for the movie, you really get a sense that this doesn't exactly capture the spirit of the cartoon show, and you really get that sense too from the game, which is frankly just not very good.
Amazing!
To its credit, EA tries to do a few things to bring more of the cartoon show into the game. You're going to see some characters who aren't featured in the movie, who are in the game, who are more true representations of what they were in the old 80s cartoon show. The story in the game diverts from the movie and actually does a pretty good job of emulating sort of the goofy plot that we saw in the G.I. Joe cartoons. Cobra and Mars are out there collecting pieces for what's called the mass device, and once they collect all the pieces, they're going to be able to do horrible things to the world, and the G.I. Joes are going to be up craps creek. There are some nice extras in the game. There are file cards to collect. These are kind of like what you saw in the back of the toy boxes. And there are unlockable PSAs straight from the cartoon show, which will give you a good chuckle.
Turkey, now we might lose.
Hold on there.
Flint!
Will yelling at Billy help?
Not really.
Look, if you want to play your best, you got to play like a team.
There are also a ton of playable characters. Not that you're always going to want to play all these guys. I think most people will gravitate towards Snake Eyes because he is most true to form. There are 4 playable Cobra characters. There's Storm Shadow, Baroness, Destro, and Firefly. And they're okay, though I will say the bad part about playing as Destro is you have to hear his horrible voice. Just sounds goofy.
Don't expect me to compliment your foolishness.
Visually, this is just not a game that's up to snuff with normal full retail games. This game just doesn't look good. It looks like a downloadable game. It looks like a mediocre downloadable game. You just look at it and you think that it's a last-gen game. Yes, you even think that it's an N64 game, we people. G.I. Joe is built like a poor man's Contra. This is a 3D game where you basically just go around, shoot straight, and dodge enemy bullets. And I'd actually rather go back and play Contra than play in a G.I. Joe. That's because after 1 or 2 levels, you start to realize that there's nothing original in the game whatsoever. In fact, a lot of the levels feel like the exact same level design, just with new skins on them. It's like a really cheap cosmetic fix for a game that should be about half as long. Now, the Joes and Cobras are separated into 3 character classes. There's Commandos, there's Combat Soldiers, and there's Heavy Weapons. Each Joe does have his or her own unique weapon and unique special attack, which is pretty cool. EA also brought in a lot of the vehicles from the TV show. Unfortunately, they control like crap. It really is just like, it actually feels like you're driving around a toy. Now, the really bad part is that the movie has something called accelerator suits. If you're wondering, they accelerate you. They put that in the game too, so you just press a button when you've filled up your accelerator meter, and all of a sudden the suits show up, and you take what is already a Joe that's been stripped of its personality, and then it's giving a suit where you couldn't tell which Joe it is anyway, and they all have the exact same attack, exact same weapon. The most frustrating part of G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra is the broken checkpoint system. Just about every level is broken up by 3 checkpoints. Here's the deal, you get to a checkpoint, the game actually stops, tallies up your score, says very boldly, checkpoint reached. But here's the deal, if you die on medium or hard after that checkpoint, you respawn at the beginning of the level. Not at the checkpoint, at the beginning of the level.
Cobra!
G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra really doesn't have the fun and the spirit of the cartoon show that we loved. It really just feels like an action game that could have featured any cast of characters, and not a good action game at that. G.I. Joe the game may end up being better than G.I. Joe the movie, but that would only mean that the movie is a colossal piece of... For the full bashing of G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra, head on over to IGN.com.